Today is all about Easter dinner recipes. And I've tried a lot of different holiday recipes over the past couple years, so I decided to share some of our new favorites. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm sharing 7 new best Easter recipes that we'll have on our dinner table this year. Okay y'all, let's get started. We were really impressed by this Boursin cheese pasta. And I'm going to make this in a 9x13 baking dish, and mine is a large one. I started out by adding 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms, along with 1 pint of cherry tomatoes, and about 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Then on top of all that, I drizzled over about 1/4 cup of olive oil. Then you're going to season it with salt and pepper to taste and give all that a really good stir. Then we're going to push all that to the outsides of the baking dish there, kind of make a little hole in the center. Then we're going to add 1 round block of Boursin garlic and herb cheese. And that's what's going to take this to a whole new level. Oh, and I also sprinkled over a little bit of crushed red pepper flakes, but you can totally leave that out if you want to. Then you're going to bake that at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes until those cherry tomatoes start to burst, those mushrooms are roasted, and that cheese is melted. And while that's in the oven, I'm boiling up 12 ounces of rotini pasta according to the box directions until al dente. All those veggies were done, so I grabbed that baking dish out of the oven. Then I added in a couple handfuls of fresh spinach. And you want to add this in immediately while everything is still really hot. That way that spinach can wilt down. Next, you're going to add in that cooked and drained pasta, along with 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Now give all that a really good stir until it's all well combined. And I did reserve some of that pasta water just in case I needed it, and I did. So I added about 1/4 cup of that here. You just add what you need until it's nice and creamy. This was absolutely delicious. It's something a little different than we would normally have, but everyone loved it. And this was one that my daddy had sent me and asked me to make, and I'm so glad he did. It was amazing. And feel free to make this your own and add any seasonings you think would be good in it. And this will absolutely be on our table. It was that good. We love green beans, and this French onion green bean casserole was a winner. To begin, in a large bowl, I'm adding 1 cup of the French onion dip. If you don't have this though, you can do 1 cup of sour cream and 1/2 packet of onion soup mix. I'm also adding 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. Now to that, I'm adding 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese and 1/2 of a 6-ounce package of French fried onions. We're going to save that other 1/2 for the topping. I love this recipe because it's only 5 ingredients and that makes it so simple. And I'm just giving this a really good stir before I add in the green beans. I'm using 4 cans of whole green beans. I did drain them very well. And you can also use the cut, the French style, or even the Italian. Now to stir that up to get all those green beans completely covered in that mixture. You'll need a 9x13 baking dish, and you do want to spray it with nonstick spray. It looks like I forgot to do it that time. And you're just going to pour in those green beans. And by the way, if you're new, I would really love to have you here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That way you get notified of all my future videos. Okay, after you get it all in there and all spread out, we're going to place it in a preheated 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes. And after that 25 minutes, go ahead and take it out of the oven, and you're going to sprinkle over 1/2 cup of shredded cheddar cheese and the other 1/2 of that bag of French fried onions. By the way, what's your favorite topping for casseroles? Do you prefer the French fried onions, or do you like the Ritz cracker toppings better? I know some people even use the cornflakes to top their casseroles. I've never tried that, but I really do need to. Okay, after you get that topping all on there, you're going to be careful because this pan is still hot. Place it back into the oven to bake for an additional 5 minutes. Just long enough for that cheese to melt. This was delicious. And maybe if you're not a fan of green beans, maybe you like broccoli better, you can always substitute the green beans for about a pound of chopped broccoli florets. By the way, I'm getting some really great recipe requests from y'all. Someone mentioned a raisin pie. I have never heard of that, but I looked it up and I can't wait to try it. You are going to love this baked potato salad. You're going to need 2 pounds of potatoes. The recipe called for russets, but I'm using the red potatoes. The recipe said to bake these whole, but I went ahead and cut them into bite-sized pieces, just like you would cut them for regular potato salad. I drizzled them with a little oil and sprinkled over some ranch seasoning. Then you're just going to toss them around until everything is covered in that seasoning. Now these are going into the oven to bake at 400 degrees for 30 to 45 minutes, or until they're fork tender and a little golden brown. Here they are out of the oven, but we're going to set them to the side just for a minute. You'll need a large bowl to mix it all in. We're going to make a little dressing here, or whatever you call it. I'm adding in 3/4 cup of mayonnaise and 3/4 cup of sour cream. Now to add a little flavor in here, I sprinkled in about 2 tablespoons of ranch seasoning. And you're also going to add salt and pepper to taste. I also boiled up 3 eggs. I mashed them up really good and added those in too. There's just something about potato salad, you gotta have boiled eggs in there. I added about a teaspoon or so of Dijon mustard, but if you're not a mustard fan, you can leave that out. Next, I'm adding in about 1/3 cup of real bacon pieces. I'm also adding 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. And last but not least, I'm adding about 1/4 cup of chopped green onions. Now you're going to mix all this until it's very well combined. And when you get it all mixed up, you can go ahead and add in those oven roasted potatoes. You're just going to gently fold everything around until it's all mixed together. Now if you want to chill this and serve it cold, you can, but I served this warm and it was absolutely delicious. This was the first time I made potato salad like this, baking the potatoes beforehand, but I will definitely be making it this way again. All the flavors in here were delicious, but I'm telling you, that cheddar, bacon, and ranch really has me hooked on it now. I really hope you give this one a try. I'm pretty sure you're gonna love it. I'm finally trying Crockpot macaroni and cheese. So to begin, we're going to cook up 16 ounces of elbow noodles, and we're just going to boil these a couple minutes shy of being done. You want to cook them to al dente, where they still have a little bite to them. And I always add salt to my pasta water. And when these are ready, I'm going to remove them from the heat and drain them very well. Now we can go ahead and add in that drained pasta right on into the crock pot. And I had to make sure I got it all. I'm going to go ahead and season this with 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Now I'm adding 1/2 stick of butter that I cubed up into tiny pieces. And you just want to scatter those around in there kind of evenly. Now we're going to add some cheese. I added 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. And the recipe called for 12 ounces of white American cheese. I didn't have that, so I added 6 ounces of Colby Jack cheese and 6 ounces of the Velveeta melting cheese. And I did cube that Velveeta up into small cubes. Now we're going to pour over a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk, along with 3/4 cup of heavy cream and 3/4 cup of milk. And I just used the regular 2%. Now you're going to stir this until it's well combined. And we can't leave any of that cheese behind. I'm not wasting anything, especially when it comes to mac and cheese. And now we're covering it, and we're going to set it to cook on low for 1.5 to 2 hours. And I know some people make this without stirring it at all, but I was so scared it was going to burn, so I gently stirred it, I guess about every 30 minutes or so, just to make sure it didn't stick to the bottom. But when you stir it, you want to do it very, very gently. And here, that macaroni is done. Those noodles are perfectly tender. But we're going to do one more thing. We're going to add a little more cheese to the top. I added about 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar and Colby Jack. A combination of that, so 1.5 cups total. And just evenly cover the top and then put that lid back on. And I just let it continue to cook until that cheese was melted. Oh my goodness, y'all. This was absolutely delicious. And don't worry, Daddy, your mac and cheese, your baked mac and cheese is still number one. But this was really, really close right there behind it. If you love a really creamy and really cheesy macaroni and cheese, which we loved, you definitely got to give this one a try. I will be making it again because it was that good. And I like a good bit of pepper in my macaroni and cheese, so I added some crushed black pepper to the top. It was amazing. These cheesy garlic butter Hawaiian rolls are a great way to doctor up some regular rolls. First, we're going to make up a little butter mixture to pour over the top. I've got 1 stick of melted butter in a measuring cup here. I added a little garlic salt, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. I also added about 2 tablespoons of the grated Parmesan cheese. Give that a stir and then set it aside. I'm using some of the savory butter Hawaiian rolls we actually had left over from Thanksgiving. I'm only using 12 of them. And I placed them in a 7 by 11 inch baking dish that I sprayed with nonstick spray, but you can put them in anything they'll fit in. Now we're going to make 2 cuts down the center of each of these rolls. Don't cut all the way to the bottom though, only about 2/3 of the way down. And we're doing this because we're going to stuff them with cheese. And you're going to need about 1 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. I shredded this myself and I shredded it very fine. And then you're just going to take however much cheese you can stuff in those cuts there, just stuff them full. And feel free to use any cheese you like here or anything you have on hand, as long as you think it'll be good in here. Okay, I've got them completely stuffed with cheese. Now I'm taking that butter Parmesan cheese mixture that we made up earlier, and you're just going to spoon it all over the top, and then I took the back of my spoon and just kind of spread it out. You just want to make sure it's covering everything. Now these are going into the oven to bake at 350 for 10 to 12 minutes. I let mine cook until that cheese was melted and the top was starting to get golden brown. These were absolutely amazing. And I will tell you, I have already tried this with the regular sweet Hawaiian rolls and I didn't care for them. But my daddy had brought these savory Hawaiian rolls for Thanksgiving, and he brought a lot. So we had some left over and I thought this would be perfect to use this up with. These were cheesy and that garlic butter just took them to a whole nother level. And I'm telling you, everyone is going to love these if you bring them to a holiday dinner, or they're also good to have any night of the week. But I will tell you, if you bring them, no one's going to really want the regular plain rolls anymore. These are so good, a new favorite of mine for sure. I have never tried scalloped corn until now, and it is a new favorite. And to make it, in a large bowl, we're going to add in 2 cans of creamed corn, along with 1 can of drained whole kernel corn. Now we're going to season this with salt and pepper to taste, but I did 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 tablespoon of minced onion. Then you're going to add in 2 beaten eggs, about 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, and 1 cup of mozzarella cheese. And the recipe called for 1/2 cup of crushed Ritz crackers, so I ended up doing about 1/2 sleeve. Now you're going to melt down 1 stick of butter, but right now we're only going to add in half. So that is 1/4 cup of melted butter you're going to add in now. Now give that a really good mix and then set it aside. We're going to make up a Ritz cracker topping. I added in the other half of that sleeve of crushed Ritz crackers along with the rest of that melted butter. I gave it a good stir and then set it aside so we can put all this together. The recipe said to use a 9x7 baking dish for this, but I'm using an 8x8. It worked out just fine. You're going to pour in that scalloped corn mixture and then kind of spread it out into an even layer. Now we're going to add on the topping. But I felt like that topping needed a little more Ritz crackers. It was a little too much butter to cracker ratio for me. So I added in probably another 1/2 sleeve. So I'd say use 1/2 sleeve for inside the scalloped corn and then 1 sleeve for on top. I spread out that topping and then baked this at 375 for 35 to 45 minutes. That top was golden brown and it was bubbly around the edges. I had made some turkey and gravy in the crock pot on this night and some brown sugar green beans, so this scalloped corn went along perfect with dinner. This was really so good, and honestly, I liked it a whole lot better than the regular corn casserole where you mix it with the Jiffy Mix. This was delicious and we all loved it. If you love deviled eggs, I'm pretty sure you're going to love this deviled egg pasta salad. We're going to start out by making the dressing. You'll need 6 boiled eggs, but for now, in this medium-sized bowl, we're only adding in the 6 egg yolks. And you're just going to use a fork to mash them up into really fine crumbles. The recipe said to push them through a fine mesh strainer, but I didn't have time for all that. And for the seasonings, I did 1/2 teaspoon of salt, about 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Now I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of finely chopped red onion. Also 2 tablespoons of chopped green onions. I had to make sure I got them all there. Next, I'm adding about 1.5 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. If you don't have Dijon, you can also just use the regular yellow mustard. And 3/4 cup of mayonnaise. And the recipe called for a teaspoon of vinegar, but I thought pickle juice would be really good in here, so I just used that instead. Then I mixed it until it was well combined. Now I'm going to pop this in the refrigerator and let it be chilling while I make the pasta. I cooked up 8 ounces of this ditalini pasta according to the directions on the back of the box. Then I drained it, rinsed it with cool water, and then drained it again. When I was done with that pasta, I grabbed that dressing out of the refrigerator and then I added that pasta right on in. And I thought this tiny little pasta was perfect in here. I highly recommend. It did want to stick to that strainer though. Now I'm adding in those 6 chopped egg whites. Now all that's left to do is stir this together until that pasta is completely covered in that dressing. Now you can serve this immediately, or you can cover it and chill it until you're ready to serve. I sprinkled it with a little paprika and added on some green onions. This was so good, and I really hope you give it a try. I mean, deviled eggs are a staple here in the South. I can't believe it's taken me this long to try deviled eggs in pasta salad. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe down below for more easy recipes, and I will see you in the next one.